looks like there's some cherry blossoms actually coming out already. I guess that's nice. I know some of you say you rarely see that stuff around your area, so I'll do some captures and stuff like that with the drone and stuff, hopefully. Now, speaking of capturing stuff with drones, over-the-top regulations are usually a factor on whether or not you can actually do it. And I was reading this today where apparently in the FAA, with all those changes with remote IDs and stuff like that, it says here, FAA announces effective dates for final drone rules. So there's a solid date for people in the US. It says the final rules requiring remote identification of drones and allowing some flights over people, over moving vehicles, and at night under certain conditions will go into effect on April 21st, 2021. That's right around the corner. It says remote identification requires identification of drones in flight as well as location of their control stations or takeoff point. It provides crucial information to our national security and law enforcement partners and other officials charged with ensuring public safety. Airspace awareness reduces the risk of drone interference with other aircraft, people, and property on the ground. And there are so many different categories depending if you're that Part 107 and all that too, or many of the regulations, they seem more like a gotcha type of thing. For example, when you fly the drone, it has to be protected, I guess you could say, where it can't penetrate human skin and all that. It says here, the ability to fly over people and over moving vehicles varies depending on the level of risk a small drone operation presents to the people on the ground. The rule allows operations based on 4 categories which can be found in the rule's executive summary. Additionally, this rule allows operations at night under certain conditions. Prior to flying under the new provisions, a remote pilot must pass the updated initial knowledge test or complete the appropriate updated online training course, which will be available on April 6, 2021. And it says according to this, to their mindset, their old rules prohibited a lot of stuff from happening, which I guess hinders things like drone delivery and all that. And their justification is this actually enables more people to do things with the drone. Although just from the sounds of it, it's more people in terms of commercial operations like a drone delivery, but in terms of a recreational flyer, the huge restrictions and stuff are still there. I guess the FPV drones are a good example in terms of just flying, below tree lines and stuff like that, wearing goggles which technically obstruct your vision, but there should be no issue really when you think about it safety-wise. So what do people in the US feel about this? Are people going to say, forget it, they're not going to fly the drone anymore, for example? Going to go through the whole thing? I know in terms of what happens there, it may happen here too. I know here the track record hasn't been very good in terms of safety. I mean, RCMP crashing drones into helicopters, so far all it did was basically create, as I mentioned, an industry of fake gurus and all that, basically selling useless courses and stuff that don't really actually focus on safety at all when you think about it. And with that thought, it makes you wonder what's going to happen with a lot of drones that are out there right now, because there is a grace period of sort. And companies like DJI, they've been really quiet in terms of announcing new products. A lot would assume because they want to wait for final announcements like this and they'll determine what do they need to put into their drones. Whereas they do have that stipulation right now where they can't import US technology into things like their drones and all that. So that might be a factor, which is why I kind of found this interesting, because there's a phone coming out which is made by OnePlus. They're generally known as the company that tries to put in, I guess, premium products at a cheaper price than a lot of flagship companies like a Samsung. But here in their recent advertisement, they're really advertising the fact that they're using Hasselblad cameras, which is kind of interesting. And another reason why it's interesting, not just because they're partnering up with that company is actually owned by DJI. They acquired it a while ago, so it made me wonder, is this part of their strategy, I guess, for DJI to survive, is to expand to things like this more? So as you can see in all their marketing materials, like the OnePlus 9 series coming soon, and they're really, I guess, trying to push the fact that they're using Hasselblad, I guess, camera and stuff like that, like putting these quizzes and all that. It actually makes me wonder if the reason for this is because a lot of the mass majority of the public have no clue who Hasselblad is, because they're actually really expensive. You can say the quality is really high, but it's usually out of reach from the average person. And they basically released a bunch of videos and stuff, same thing, advertising that they're basically partnering up with this company now. It makes me wonder for DJI if this is going to be a situation kind of like with Yahoo before, where they were a monster giant, but then afterwards they just lost so much market share to people like Google. And the only reason why they were actually super profitable is because they bought shares and stuff in the company Alibaba very early on, and you all know how big that company is. But just in terms of cameras and smartphones, I personally like the fact that they're improving quality and stuff like that. Everyone has their smartphone with them. So imagine if your camera can actually produce, I guess, Hollywood film-like quality picture afterwards. That would be awesome. Like, what's all the honking? Is it like a protest or something? Labor dispute with that hotel, it seems like. Alright, see you guys later.